is
I couldn't
good
find
question. So basically, it was in our bylaws in that Robert's Rules of Order has you exit the room for that.
Okay.
Since we got rid of the part which specifically says we follow Robert's Rules of Order, I guess that is technically a part that is now missing from our bylaws.
Because I know about people circumnavigating that, but if it's not in the bylaws, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to circumnavigate it if they really want to. It doesn't really provide that much of a benefit, really.
Not for them. I think it's more of a detriment to the people who aren't circumnavigating it. Because if they find out that people are circumnavigating it, I think it kind of restricts speaking your mind. I don't know if that's true.
I can see that.
I don't know what the intention of it was originally.
The intention is basically just so that way people aren't like prepared for a specific question when we do like Q&A. It's still like surprising to them. So I mean, in that way, it would be a bit of an advantage if they heard it in advance because they could plan their responses more.
Yeah.
And then it also basically makes it so that way you're getting people's honest opinion about a topic rather than maybe just reciting what they heard the person before them saying.
That makes sense.
That's the idea behind it.
Interesting. Yeah, I was just curious if that's something. I didn't see where it was locked down if it was.
I believe it was used to be in Robert's Rules of Order, but as I said, we got rid of that, so now I don't believe it's actually in our bylaws. But I'll double check.
Is there a reason we got rid of it?
It was mostly just because Robert's Rules of Order is a very long document, and when I had originally rewrote this, I had thought I had grabbed most of the important stuff from Robert's Rules of Order, so all the motions, all that stuff, but I did forget that part specifically.
It's hard to track all of it since it's a long document.
A little bit.
Yeah. I was just curious. I really appreciate it.
Nice. We'll work our way down. It's okay. I'm gonna try to use hand sanitizer. It's just like. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, it's not there. Basically, the specific mention
midnight.
Work something out. It was very interesting. Because they can watch it even.
And you know, I don't feel bad.
I mean, that makes sense.
I think that's what was always going to be an awkward transition. If they operationalize.
Morgan.
On my own mental health and dogs.
Oh, wait, I know that. That's skeleton, root skeleton.
Yeah. There's minutes. The recording.
Thank you. Oh, there's stuff here.
That one was also done last week, but it was done during the No, you're doing fine. Right there.
Hold on now, I thought I beat you.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you Ricky?
Personally, yeah.
That's just trying to like right over the love of my life.
Wow.
You said fire.
Fires to deal with the violence right now. I cannot.
How about acid breath?
I can do that. I think that's the only thing I can do. Do you want me to say that part of the test? I didn't get to this part of the test. Sweat. Yeah.
Everyone.
That's funny.
I did.
I didn't see it.
I did. I responded back. Just said, no worries.
I put your name tag there.
I also got.
If you want to say
On vacation. And she agreed to help us out with the,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Service advisor, like a reference. So how we approach things. I think that helps because I have to go.
Hey, we can stop.
I can tell you're very red. You okay?
Yeah.
You don't sweat anything other than
No, it's, that's my boyfriend.
Hey. Everything okay?
Yeah, he just turned up.
I was feeling that 2 days ago.
Hey, guys. 2 days. Yes.
And then in 2 days, I'll have it. But you'll be okay. Okay, Drip. Yes, but I didn't go to that.
People get pants and shit there.
I mean.
Okay. We should have Zoom all set up for the guest presentation. It seems like they're only planning on doing a video now rather than their entire PowerPoint. We'll see.
Because I'm Mitchell Kirk.
And I let them know about the whole reading everything in full in case they decided to their PowerPoint.
That's all? That was that was you problem.
Do you know what Jess is gonna talk about?
You step in and got stepped on.
Got it.
You are first.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh, this one? No.
I haven't finished yet. I have about
Oh, I got the transcript.
a half a paragraph. Probably.
Why would it be like that small, bro? That's crazy.
I did it an hour ago. Like I literally was typing this on his iPad like this.
Hey, you brought it up. You brought it up.
My feet.
I physically couldn't write. I know they do.
Why would you sound me?
That was one of them.
But it's all I ever did.
So I should do engineering, no writing.
I don't know if I want to do the coding right there.
You don't have to do coding unless you do like electrical.
What I've heard.
You can do coding and it will, and at the beginning, they basically only teach you the coding part, but there's other softwares you can use that makes it way easier without coding.
And what about the calculus portion?
Well, calculus is fine, but it's not that hard.
Not.
No, it's just you haven't had a good math teacher.
I struggled through calculus classes.
Calculus isn't that bad.
I do not want to be in calculus.
I will be honest though, calculus 1 in school is taught so terribly. I skipped it because I did it in high school, but I heard calculus 1 is like the worst class that they ever teach, and they make it so strict to actually pass it. Calculus 2 and 3 isn't that bad.
I'm not gonna say it out loud.
Anyway, we are all good to go here.
They purposely curved calculus 1 so drastically that it's almost impossible to get into the class. Like you physically have to fail every test and everything.
Oh, I heard it's entirely different.
No, for calculus. Calculus, like they curve it so much that as long as you do well, decently well in the quizzes, you get C's on the test, and you do most, if not all, the homework, you should be able to pass it. Like you can only fail something that fails.
Can I do that this summer? Let's both take cotton.
I already took it.
Never mind.
I'm done. Are we done?
Our mic volume is, or mic battery is a little low now.
What's the 10th?
Yeah, no, 11. Yeah.
Hey there. I'm calling to order the 11th session of the 35th Senate, and we will move on to Pledge of Allegiance. So all who are willing and able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Next, we have the land acknowledgement. Colorado State University acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples. This was also a site of trade, gathering, and healing for numerous other native tribes. We recognize the indigenous people as original stewards of this land and all the relatives within it. As these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, the ties nations have to the traditional homelands are renewed and reaffirmed. CSU is founded as a land-grant institution, and we accept that our mission must encompass access to education and inclusion, and significantly that our founding came at a dire cost to Native nations and peoples whose land this university is built upon. This acknowledgement is the education and inclusion we must practice in recognizing our institutional history, responsibility, and commitment. Next, we have the swearing in of any associate or senators or future positions. So if you're swearing in, please come up to the front. And I ask the Chief Justice to please join us as well.
Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Treasure Morgan,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to defend and uphold
to defend and uphold
the rules and regulations
the rules and regulations
set forth by the Constitution
set forth by the Constitution
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University,
and will rightfully perform the duties of my office
and will rightfully perform the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Next we have Rachel. Take a quick call the roll. Alrighty, Senator Bakari,
Present.
Chair Kelly, Senator Van Tassel, Associate Senator Lutz, Senator Cole Johnson, Senator Winston, Becky, Senator Tabib,
Present.
Senator Amy, Senator Wilson,
Here.
Chair Osborne, here, Chairman Auntie,
Here.
Senator Perk, here, Senator Hill, Senator Tacone,
On Zoom.
Here.
Senator Snyder,
Here.
Chair Taylor,
Here.
Senator McAllister Johnson, Chair Trout, Senator Davis, Chair Frisky,
Present.
Senator Levy,
Here.
here, Senator Reese, present, Associate Senator Rivera, present, Associate Senator Salazar, here, Senator Barron, Associate Senator Camber,
Present.
Senator Lasser,
Here.
Associate Senator Alvarez, here, Senator Pickerel,
Here.
Associate Senator Minkowski, Senator Buckner, Senator Lancey,
Here.
Associate Senator Ozor,
Here.
Associate Senator Leggett, Associate Senator Miller, present, Associate Senator Myers,
Here.
Associate Senator Berg, Senator Huizenga, here, Senator Brown, Senator DeMario,
Here.
Senator Vaughn, Associate Senator Turner. Next, we have consent agenda. Is there any dissent to this agenda? Seeing none, we're moving on to gallery input. Is there anyone from the gallery who wishes to speak at this time?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jess Seardahl. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I previously served as an ASCSU advisor, so I spent many, many thousands of hours in this space. I want to thank you all for the work you're doing, but I'm not here to relive my glory days. I'm here to invite you to an opportunity or 1 to 2 members of the Senate. Next week, Leadership for Collins. So these are professionals in a variety of industries from healthcare, construction, banking, education, entrepreneurs are coming here to tour CSU for a few hours, and they're going to have lunch. And last year they wanted student government leaders to join them, and they had a fantastic time. So they have reopened that opportunity again. So we'll have a couple members from cabinet, hopefully 1 or 2 from judicial branch, and 1 or 2 seat for the legislative cabinet. So if you want to check your calendars real quick, and it'll be next Thursday, November 9th from we'll probably leave from the ASCSU office from 11:45 to 12:50. We're going to have lunch in the Foundry, and Leadership Fort Collins will pay for it. So and it's a casual conversation. You don't have to have anything prepared. They just want to hear about your life as a CSU student and just kind of have a casual conversation over lunch. So is anyone interested and available for next Thursday? Ricky? Okay. And what was your name?
Alexander.
Okay, perfect. Will someone up front write down a few names and then send it to me, and then I'll follow up with you all? You also are interested? Okay. I'm gonna double check with them tomorrow if we can have more. They said just 10, so that's why I was trying to do a couple from each branch, but if we can do 15, then I say the more the merrier. Well, any questions? And then really quick, I'm sure, yeah, or Chair Ritter, or not Chair, your recruitment officer Ritter will share more, but TEDx CSU is happening this Saturday, and Officer Ritter is one of our speakers. So I have handbills here that I can just put here that you can pass out. Please join us for TEDx. I yield my time. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the gallery who wishes to speak at this time? Okay, now we're going to move on to our guest speaker, ranked choice voting. Quickly before we get into that, is there anyone, I'm going to read out the names that I got for the meeting thing with Jess. Please let me know if there's anyone else I'm missing. I have Senator Winston, Senator Wilson, Senator Snyder, Senator Hazinga, and Associate Camberg. Is anyone I'm missing from this list? Great.
Point of order, this was not sent out 48 hours in advance. This is not an emergency piece of legislation. I move to have these guest speakers stumped. Thank you.
This is a video, it is not a presentation.
All materials presented, and that includes a video.
All right, we're gonna move into a vote.
It's the Constitution.
Would our guest presenters be willing and able to give the presentation without the additional material that would be shown on the board? So just like pre-speak it if you could? Would that be within guidelines of Wendy?
Okay, good evening. Sorry about that. So my name is Jason Hewitt. I'm an advisor to ASCSU and specifically been an advisor to the elections committee for a number of years. And I'm also an alum of ASCSU from a long time ago. It's nice to be with you all tonight. Thanks for having us.
I'm Derek Jacobson. I'm lead our web development team in the Office of Registrar. So our main focus is RAMWeb, which is student portal, and areas of the faculty and staff portal. So we administer the ASCSU elections every year.
And Derek undersells it. He and his team are responsible for everything that goes on within RAMWeb. The client experience you get there is all part of his and his team's great work. So thank you for having us here today. Apologies for the video. Honestly, that is not the key part of our presentation tonight. So rest assured, we understand and respect the needs of accessibility in this body and intend to deliver. We will share the URL for the video after the fact, but again, it's not really the main thrust of why we're here, which is to discuss ranked choice voting. And just a quick show of hands as we get started. How many of you have been around, how many of you have seen me down here talking about ranked choice voting in the past? I see only a small handful. Okay, I don't want to spend a lot of time on the past if you all don't care about the past. Just very quickly, a number of years ago, your predecessors, and many of you that might be in the room today, had asked our team that advises the elections committee each year, as well as the folks in RAMWeb, what they might be able to do to introduce the ability to support ranked choice voting into the RAMWeb system that affects your election every spring. It turns out that wasn't a small ask. And indeed, it turns out that Derek and his fine team have a whole host of projects that deliver all sorts of functionality to you all every day that frankly are a priority on a daily and weekly basis, maybe not so much as the election, not that the election isn't important. A number of years ago, we approached Derek and his team, and the indication was they probably wouldn't be able to tackle this for a number of years. And by the way, this is pre-COVID even. So 2019, 2020, we've had this conversation for a long time. It turns out that you may be familiar with a program on campus called the Cybersecurity Internship Program. They had within their charge building a secure election platform. We asked them if they might be able to include ranked choice voting as a mechanism to do their voting. For a number of reasons we can skip here, that effort ultimately was unsuccessful. No fault to the students involved in the program. They did their best. I think it's emblematic of the fact that this is just this is a difficult problem to solve as we try to think conceptually about what ranked choice voting is, and then ultimately turn that into computer code that can tell you who won when you just go to a website and vote. So it turns out Derek and his team have had this on their agenda for a number of years. They've known that this effort has been going on. They've had an enterprising student who got involved with their group as an intern in your operation and took it upon themselves to actually do this work. We thought it was going to be years away because it turns out we weren't able to have a different team do it. The Ramwood folks have found a way to prototype something that might actually work. Now, before we let Derek talk a bit about the platform, is everyone familiar with ranked choice voting as a concept, what it actually is, how to affect it? The big part of the video is actually going over ranked choice voting. So if we have enough of a consensus that everybody understands the general concept, I think we can just fast forward to some screenshots within the video so you can actually see what the prototype of Ramweb looks like, and then we can just talk through what that looks like. Does that sound okay to everyone? And then again, we will be sharing the video after the fact. And the reason, by the way, this video wasn't to be a part of our presentation is that the video was made for the elections committee. This wasn't actually intended to be something we were going to distribute widely across all of campus. It was my suggestion that in order to be transparent with the Senate and help bring you along on this journey to potentially revamping how you conduct your elections, that we try to get some time in front of you all in the fall semester so that you have as much opportunity to get comfortable and aware of the changes that might be coming for you before we have a chance to start that election. Before we go any further, any questions? Okay. So I'd like to have Derek spend a minute talking a bit about your journey on your side, just the student employee, how you got things going, and then maybe we'll talk a bit about some of the mechanics.
Thanks, Jason. So like Jason said, we know this has been a need for from you guys for a number of years. And we were just limited by the hardware. Ramwood was running on servers that were well over 10 years old. We replaced those earlier this year. So that gave us a little bit more horsepower and access to newer technologies. So part of that, Sarah Manning, our student web developer, we gave her a charge to investigate, see if we can make this work. And she was able to create this prototype. And just Sarah did a great job. Her funding comes from UpFab fees that you guys approve. So we appreciate that. And she's doing great things. So just one thing to note that this is a prototype. This is not final. So what you're seeing is just seeing if it's technically feasible.
Point of order, guys. We cannot do that. I'm so sorry. If you want to make a vote, you have to get the Supreme Court. Only the Supreme Court can vote on the Constitution.
I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that if we do a vote, it is whether or not this is an emergency, as determining whether or not this is an emergency is not determined by you, but by the entire Senate.
Okay, I vote to vote if this is, I move to vote if this is an emergency.
If you want to, yeah.
Would it be permissible to just avoid the screen content altogether and just talk you through what we're talking about? Okay, that's totally doable. Thank you. And again, apologies. The video that we prepared includes a narrative that was designed again to get the elections committee fully up to speed on what's going on here. We're just trying to share that with you all in a vein of transparency. So forgetting what is on the screen, the idea behind the platform, I think, is twofold. First, there is the public-facing portion of the website that we use to collect your votes. And what we would show you in the video is that what has been prototyped today is a series of drop-down lists. You'll remember with ranked choice voting, you have to assign 1, 2, 3 to each candidate that might be in the election. By the way, an important point here, ranked choice voting really means something when you have more than 2 candidates in an election, right? That's a very important point given where we're ultimately going. Right now, the prototype is simply to have a drop-down list. And it's great that we're talking about accessibility, even as we think about this presentation, because a series of drop-down lists, those of you that are familiar with screen reading technologies, drop-down lists are notoriously difficult to navigate with accessibility technologies. If we go with the prototype, which, by the way, Derek and his team are fully aware of the situation, our point in bringing the awareness to you all today was to make sure that you understand some of the development effort required to get this thing to an accessible state such that we won't have any questions about whether folks have an ability to navigate the ballot as they have traditionally in the past with the existing system. And so then, if we do that, we've got to make sure that we're bolstering the election to a point where we have competitive elections, because we're asking a team of on-campus developers who might be compromising their ability to deliver other RAMWeb functionality that you all are asking for, to focus on this one piece of technology. And it's fantastic if we do it. As an advisor to the elections committee, I'm here to just say as a fact, we've had a notoriously difficult time getting more than 2 candidates to run in any of our elections. And that is, maybe it's a state of the world. I think we're all working toward finding a way to make that better. Caitlin Spencer, Junior Election Manager, thank you for getting her confirmed. We're looking forward to getting the effort kicked off to make sure that we can bolster that awareness and try to drum up the support so that we can get some competitive elections. But our point today in bringing this to you is to let you know that we have a prototype. The elections committee is going to be looking at how we can mold it into shape, into something that will actually work well for you all. And I think our intention would be to have Caitlin, who couldn't be here tonight, continue to lead the charge in keeping you all up to speed on what will be going on in the developments behind the scenes going forward as we try to make this work. And then also to ask for your help now to make sure that we're bolstering awareness for ASCSU and trying to take advantage by having a competitive election for some of the elections that will be hitting the ballot coming up in the spring. So that's a little bit abbreviated. Hopefully that is helpful. Again, we're just trying to raise awareness and let you know that we're continuing to make progress on this. And I think Derek and I are happy to answer any questions. Before we go, anything else you want to add? Okay. Any questions for us tonight?
I'm not sure if this is like an obvious question, but why is ranked choice voting better than just like a majority rules vote?
I'm gonna skip that one for now and just suggest that this entire effort is a result of a request we've had from the ASCSU over a number of years. And you may be familiar with the fact that the city of Fort Collins has now adopted ranked choice voting as their mechanism. It's not, as I understand it, in effect for this election, but it will be for the next city council election. So it's a popular move, debatable consequence and value, and I'll probably let you all have that debate.
I was just wondering, but I can look at
it. Honestly, I don't want to get ahead of, I don't want to bias the conversation.
Can I kind of chime in with your question? Last year, we had an election of 4 presidential candidates, and it was just brought in like, if we continue to have these elections with big amounts of like people running, it might be just fairer in a way to have ranked choice. So there's people can vote for multiple and like be able to vote like, you know what, if this person isn't my top choice, then I would beat this person. Then you're able to like pick who you'd like any and like it's rank. You pick your rank of like who would you want to like win the most, and then blah blah blah. So I think it was just like after such a big election and we knew it was coming up from last year, it was just trying to get like what's the most I won't say fair, but it's just like what was the best way we could hold an election that has, you know, 4 or more candidates on the ballot.
I might say, I think a common talking point is that ranked choice voting allows you to make sure that no vote is thrown away, right? So if you end up with 3 people in an election and you might have a candidate, let's say polling in the single digits, right? Ranked choice voting enables everyone to have a vote that might ultimately affect that candidate. Other questions?
Do you think the next election is going to be done with ranked choice voting?
It's possible in a way that I think we can't, from the elections committee advisor staff, say has been a potential in the last several years. We're closer now than we have been in the past. I think that the key things that stand in our way, whatever necessary rule changes might need to be presented to this body for adoption before we get to the spring semester. And again, we'll be working with Caitlin Spencer, your election manager, to affect those changes and assess ultimately what needs to happen in your governing documents to support going in this direction, should you all decide to do so. Additionally, we talked about some of the work that needs to go on. So what we have is a prototype, and I think we've mentioned this off the top. None of that is built, it's built atop a development environment for RAMWeb, but none of that is anywhere near the production environment that you all use today. So there's some additional work that would be required to build the mechanisms to support throwing that web interface into place. Then the last thing, and this is the most important one, it goes back to the topic du jour this evening, accessibility, is whatever is affected in that user interface to allow you to vote using ranked choice voting and to assign a ranking to each of the candidates in election. Is that accessible enough to meet your requirements? And I think those are things that you all have decided. Assuming those three things come to pass, Derek, I think it goes. I think it's possible. And again, we've been trying this for 4 to 5 years and we haven't been this close. So that's, I think, why we're excited to bring it to you and raise that awareness. There's additional work to do. Most of it will come to this body. We're going to be working with the elections committee in the meantime to make sure that they're prepared, they understand, and they're ready to deliver their recommendations to you all if you all choose to go this way. Meanwhile, this video is for consumption by this body. So we will get the URL through channels out to you all. So you have an opportunity to check out what we've been talking about tonight. And again, the video was made for the elections committee. So understand there's some detail in there that would not be pertinent to the regular student experience. And all of it is subject to change. Everything about it is a prototype, not ultimately what the thing would look like in the end. Hopefully that helps. Other questions? We will get out of your hair now. Thank you very much for your time tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We're going to move on to executive reports. Anyone from the executive cabinet would like to report this time?
Alrighty, good evening, everybody. My name is Braxton Dietz. I serve as the chief of staff here with ASCSU. If we haven't already met, I'll keep it short and sweet today. I'm just going to highlight 2 things. The first being ASCSU kicked off our ASCSU Invite series with RSO leaders this past month. So this series is an invite dinner series that we're going to host every month with various campus partners. This past month was RSOs. We engaged in some networking conversations and then some guided and mediated conversations with members of the cabinet, kind of about what they want to see ASCSU do and how to help ASCSU or how to help RSOs like theirs. And so cabinet is taking those critiques and those inputs and developing an action plan. And I'll be able to get that back to you here in the next week or so. The second thing, and the next upcoming one will be with the Rocky Mountain Student Media Corporation in November, towards the end of this month. So stay tuned for that as well. The second thing I'll point out, a little bit separate from my duties as chief of staff, I'm putting together a team to help with an ongoing project of mine. A lot of you may be familiar with the temporarily disabled student transportation program that's since evolved into the permanently and temporarily disabled student transportation program. We're this close to getting it over the finish line and launched fully in the spring semester, along with a integrative technology for ride requesting. So it'll be a door-to-door service, hopefully 2 vans and 2 drivers, but we'll see how that goes, utilizing some third-party software, as well as the SCC and PTS. But I need y'all's help to get this over the finish line. We're that close, but I need ASCSU to come together here. So I'm putting together a team. If you're interested, the team will be reviewing third-party softwares. We have 2 in mind right now, looking at what the impact of a student fee increase to fund this program long-term would look like, and presenting this to SFRB. Very easy work, I think, in my opinion, but also very important work. It's kind of as you feel you can contribute. So if you can and you want to, I think you all know how to contact me. Just type my name into Outlook and you'll find some email that will eventually get back to me. So with that, I yield my time. Thank you very much.
Hey everyone, I'm Nick. Just by a quick show of hands, who here is registered to vote in the city of Fort Collins? That's great. I wish I would see more hands. And I was somewhat guilty of this when I was a freshman as well. I had lived in my community for my entire life up until I came to CSU. And so I felt a much deeper connection to the government there and how it affected me. But the reality is, if you live here, from the decisions that the local elected leaders make, they affect you more greatly than they do back home. And so there is an election coming up on November 7th. That's Tuesday. And it's pretty important. There are some vital seats that are up for reelection that, if they flip, will kind of alter the trajectory that we've been on with our fight against repealing U+2. There's a big distinction between candidates in the race. They're pro-housing people, they're very anti-housing people. And to meet our goals, we have to make sure that we have folks on council and folks in the mayor's office who share our ideals. And so registering to vote is very easy in the state of Colorado. You can do it up until Tuesday. Actually, you could register on the same day that you decide to vote. There will be a polling place in the student center. I believe it's in the Never Know Summer Ballroom. And so again, I just really encourage all of you to make your voices heard in the local election. Some of the things that I've been working on, I had a phone call with Henry Sobanet. He's the vice chancellor of the CSU system, and he's the CFO for the CSU system. And he kind of runs all the governmental affairs work for the system. And so we kind of collaborated now that our organization has a lobbyist on where we can work together, because today the governor unveiled his budget. And part of that in like a big picture perspective includes more investment in higher education, which is a good thing. But I can assume that it's not to the level that we would need in order to not raise tuition again this year. And so that's the number one priority for us. Additionally, an update on the textbook tax bill. I have monthly meetings with the Colorado Department of Higher Education, along with student body presidents from across the state. And there has been interest expressed at Mines and Ames Community College in assisting with the textbook tax bill. And so there's a lot of energy around the state to get this done and keep more money in the pockets of students. So I think that's really important. I had a meeting along with the other branch heads today with President Parsons and Vice President for Student Affairs Blanche Hughes. And so we just talked about the general things that were going on in ASCSU. And one of the really cool things that we touched on was the Goose concert. She had said that if the West Lawn or campus as a whole was viewed as a viable venue for acts to come, then we could get bigger names other than Goose to come to campus. And the Goose concert was a success in their eyes. And so just really excited to see where she takes that and the opportunities that will be presented to CSU when the time does come to host more concerts in the spring. I think it was really enjoyed, not only by our CSU community, but the overall community in Fort Collins and abroad. And then lastly, I don't know how many of you read the Collegian, but there was a letter to the editor that was written that was pretty strongly worded. And for the most part, I really don't think they did miss the mark on many things. Historically, there have been issues in ASCSU, but part of it, we do not oversee $57 million. If any of you think we do, I wish we had access to that money, but those are student fee dollars that SFRB kind of oversees. But we really don't say how much athletics gets year over year. That's not really our role. So in part, there were some inconsistencies with the article, but it did allege that perhaps ASCSU is out of touch with the student body. And a lot of the things that we decide to do as an organization is blood sport. And the hills that we decide to die on maybe aren't necessarily the ones that would be in line with the overall student body. And so something that I recognized when I was speaker last year, that I saw when senators would do their reports, and I'll pick on Parliamentarian Doyle here because I think he did an excellent job whenever he'd review legislation, he wouldn't give his personal opinion on a piece of legislation. Every vote that he took on a piece of legislation, he would actually bring that bill to the College of Engineering. They discuss it in their college council. And from there, that would determine what vote he takes. And I'd really love to see more of that, that we go back to our constituencies, we actually listen to what they say and the positions they take on issues. And that's how this body votes. Otherwise, it's just a group of 50 people giving their opinions. And as the old saying goes, opinions are like everyone has them. So to maintain our status as ASCSU and really elevate us to the level that we should be, really stew on that, because this organization should not be the pull my finger joke of CSU, and at times it is. And it's really unfortunate because we do a lot of good work for the student body that largely goes unnoticed because the flashy things are the problems we have. And that's what gets the attention rather than the good stuff. So please consider that. And, you know, we have to make a commitment as ASCSU to do better, not for us, not only for us and the folks that are going to come after us, but for the students that we serve right now. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
Hello, folks. My name is Georgia. I use she, they pronouns, and I'm the Director of Health and Wellness, just in case you haven't seen my face yet. So I have a couple different updates for you. Our most important one is that we are introducing a new member to the Department of Health and Wellness. So I want to keep you updated and connected with us because I know sometimes there can be a gap between what Cabinet is doing and what Senate is doing. So really want to keep you guys connected and in the loop. So I'll have Nate introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nate. I'm a new intern here at the Department of Health and Wellness, and I'm a sophomore currently. My current passions are substance use and misuse and risk mitigation. I'm currently involved in some new projects involving some of those things. And being new to ASCSU, I'm really open to involvement with not just the executive branch, but also Senate as well, with ASCSU acting as a whole. So if any of you guys take any interest at all in the health or well-being of the students, I implore any of you guys to join in or volunteer or anything like that. Yeah, it means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Nate. Okay, you guys have heard me talk a lot about multicultural counseling and some of the initiatives that our department is trying to work on. I have an ask for you guys today. I know that this is a little bit short notice, but so multicultural counseling program is currently hiring a director. They do not have a full-time director. As of right now, they only have an interim director. So they're in the process of candidate search. They're doing a candidate lunch on Friday from 11:30 to 12:45 in the LSC. If any of you guys are interested in participating in that candidate lunch and hearing like what our candidates who are going to be the new director of multicultural counseling, I would love if you guys would come talk to me or send me an email. However, I do know that that is kind of short notice, but if you guys have the ability or desire to attend, I really want to urge you guys and invite you all to that space. Additionally, on that day, if you can't make it from 11:30 to 12:45, there's going to be an open forum in the Health Network in room 2012. And that is just going to be you can ask any kind of questions that you want for our candidates and really use your voice to kind of explore what we need and what students are asking for. Additionally, we're working on some marketing materials with our director of marketing for multicultural counseling drop-in hours. A lot of students don't know that they exist and that's a service that they can engage in within the counseling department. So You guys will see those soon. And then also another ask, with those materials, I would love if you guys would distribute that information to either your colleges, your councils, any of the spaces that you enter. I think that is one of the biggest ways to create awareness, is like taking that back to our own communities. And then some updates about our Rams Against Hunger Break the Stigma campaign. We are getting into all of it. We have some marketing materials that are coming out next week that are kind of like drafts and prototypes. So if you guys are interested in giving your perspectives or input on that, I would love to invite y'all to come do that. We could even create like a meeting or a team that works around that. So if you guys are interested in food insecurity stuff, please let me know. And then I have a question for you guys really quick. Just raise your hand. How many of you guys have used the food pantry on campus? Okay, awesome. How many of you guys, if somebody asked right now, could tell like a student where the Rams Against Hunger pantry is and where pocket pantries are? Okay, awesome. I hope to see every single person's hand raised the next time that I come in. One of the best ways that we can distribute those resources and make our awareness and accessibility to those programs is for us student leaders to know about those resources and distribute them to people who have questions. So would love to, maybe next time I'll come with some like information and some cards so that you guys can distribute that to, again, like bring that back to all of your communities and things like that. Last thing, Alex asked me to make an announcement about the ASCSU Culture Review. That's next Wednesday, November 8th. From 2 to 3 in the ASCSU conference room. Just want to extend that invitation personally to you guys. I wasn't there last meeting, but I will be at this one. And I know that some of our senators, Senator Wilson was there. So just want to extend that gratitude and really encourage you guys to come engage in some dialogue and conversation about ASCSU culture, because I don't know about you guys, but I think that there's a necessary culture shift that needs to occur within ASCSU. And I think that can't happen without everybody's participation. So we'll be talking about some of our key tenets of ASCSU's mission, vision, and values, and how we can live up to those and really practice them within like all the spaces that we enter. So again, really hope to see y'all there. We had a lot of productive conversations last week, and that also led to the like kind of our shift to teams. So definitely some awesome stuff coming out of that, and it would be even more awesome if we can get more voices. So that is my updates for y'all. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the judicial branch who wishes to report at this time?
Hi, y'all. My name is Jamie Binder. I am the Deputy Chief Justice for the court, and I just wanted to update everyone on the Code of Ethics. Currently, it has not been updated since 2015. A few weeks ago, when I was up here, I reminded everyone that we don't just look at the Constitution in terms of what's being upheld in productivity and conduct, but also the Code of Ethics and Student Code of Conduct. So I just want to give a little synopsis of what it is first. So the Code of Ethics is a document that outlines expectations for us as student officials to be held to a higher behavioral standard. It encourages us to be role models and to accurately represent our constituents. Part of the Code of Ethics for ASCSU has been taken directly from the executive branch of the United States government. So some great stuff, just some headlines that as part of the document, ASCSU officials shall understand their duty, they shall understand their role in the organization. Going back to what President DeSalvo talked about getting good input from your constituents. We are looking to revise this document because it hasn't been updated in so long. So me personally, I'm looking to add a statute that ensures that everyone is properly accurately representing their constituents. There's a lot more in this document as well. I encourage everyone to read it themselves. But most importantly, if there's a violation of this code of ethics, it may be reported to us, the Supreme Court, in the form of an internal complaint. These complaints are supposed to include specific violations of the code, how the code was violated, any witnesses, and any other evidence. So, for example, I would say Joe Schmo violated section D.2 of the ethics code, and this is when it happened, this is how it happened, and this is who saw. That is the only way that we are effectively able to hear an internal complaint if there's a violation of the ethics code. And then we also issue sanctions. Again, I would encourage you all to read it because if things are happening, it's very important that you guys all know what the consequences are. Like I said, we're trying to update this. If anyone in this room has, upon reading it, any ideas for how you want to see an update to it, please email Elena or I, or come to our office hours because we will be voting on it as a court. And obviously the document isn't only pertinent to the court. So if anyone else has input on what they want to see changed in the document, we would love to hear that feedback. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we're gonna have legislative reports. We'll start with officers. And officers. We'll report at this time.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mia Ritter, Officer Ritter. If y'all ever need anything, feel free to email me, message me on Slack, or no, we don't use Slack anymore. Teams. You just look at my email, or I can give you my number as well after Senate as well. Feel free to message me anytime. I'd love to hear your feedback of how you're feeling about the Senate, things that you want to see, things you want to see changed throughout the semester, things that you're kind of concerned about. I'm here for you at all times, and I love being here for all of you, and I love the space so much, and I want to do anything I can to make you all feel more comfortable, make you all feel happier being here, and I love it so much. So I want to keep seeing everyone here all the time. Even though I haven't been here over the past 2 weeks. I had the flu, so that was great. I didn't want to give it to anyone, so stayed at home and watched through Zoom, so I'm glad to be back. I have, there's a TEDxCSU event happening this Saturday. I'd like to invite all of you to come. There's some really awesome speakers speaking this Saturday that I've been working with recently. CSU asked me to be a speaker this year. So I'm going to be talking about something super cool. And, if you want to find out what that is, you should come. If you can't, that's okay. And it will be posted online forever and ever. So that's great. So I'd love to see all of you there if you would like to come. There's some flyers that Jess had dropped off. They're like little QR codes of the TEDx Endure. That's the topic this year. Endure is, based on how a lot of the speakers have been motivated. A lot of them are PhD students, professors, grad students. So they have really awesome stories and talking about how they endured through their careers, their education as well. And so I'm really excited to hear their final speech and see everything happen this week. You'll have access to the exhibit. You'll have access to a free lunch as well. Well, not free, but so if you'll need help getting tickets as well, feel free to talk to me too, and I can help you with that as well. So feel free to come get a flyer after Senate or during breaks or wherever, or I don't know, just walk up here. And then there's a QR code that'll take you to the website as well. So if y'all have any questions, let me know. Who's here? Thanks.
Anyone else from Kenya who wishes to report at this time? I'll give my report then. I have a couple things on here, so apologies if this goes a little longer than I normally do. We'll start off with something that Nick already touched about. This morning, me and the branch leaders had a meeting with President Parsons and Vice President of Student Affairs, Blanche Hughes. For me personally, I think that meeting, we have those meetings about once every month, and we always kind of bring up some of like the major things that we're doing or some concerns that we may have with like how things are being run and trying to get like just bouncing off with feedback. So if anyone kind of has anything that they'd like to ask, because I normally come with questions from y'all or I come with questions that I've seen kind of like bounce around in here, and that's normally what I ask them. So if anyone else has any questions they want to ask to them, you can definitely direct them towards me. I meet with branches more often than I do with President Parsons, but I do meet with both. Next we have, I was informed by our Director of Governmental Affairs that we have Governor Polis and Governor Cox coming to the school on November 5th for a Disagree Better event. And this is where we were allotted a certain amount of questions, and each branch allotted a question or two. So I'm asking y'all if y'all have any questions you want to ask them, either Governor Polis or Governor Cox. Please direct those to my way. I need to get that back to Director Stella by Friday. I know it's short. You also told me short notice. I think you told me yesterday. So making sure y'all know about it. Nick also said this, or no, it was Braxton. It was Chief Justice, Chief of Staff, Dietz. We have RMSMC coming in at the end of November around roughly. So just want to get y'all ready for that one. The letter to the collegian that did come out, or letter to the editor that came out today. I'm gonna be really honest. I'm not surprised, but it's also, this is later in the year than most, I say like ASCSU, like slander articles normally come out. I know we had some last year in September. And so for it to be coming out in November, I just say that's a good like, but there was a depiction of Senate in there. And to me, when I was reading through it, I felt it didn't really highlight how we run Senate this year. I felt like it highlighted past Senates and the generational like way Senate was run. But this year, I feel like what it was said in the article isn't exactly a good representation of how we kind of run our Senates. And I wanted to tell y'all that because if y'all read it, you're gonna see it's a very strong article. And I think at least when I was reading it, my head went, I don't think that's how we act, but each their own. Two other things. I have a competition this weekend. I will not be available. So if you have any questions about agenda or anything changed, please direct that to Speaker Pro Tem Valparaiso. Yeah, I will not be available this weekend. I'm technically going on Friday as well, but I will be in and out. So if you catch me, and you need to ask me a question, go ahead, since I'm there. Last thing, teams. Kind of said this a couple times. We're having some major difficulties with teams at the moment. We probably won't be moving over as quickly as all the other branches, and I'll be completely honest with that because of how many documents we have and how many people we have, and the like mass that Senate is. To move us all to teams by the end of the week is not feasible. Like, it is completely not feasible for us to do. And like I said, I won't even be here on Friday. So that would leave me all of tomorrow to try to transfer things over, and that's just completely not feasible. What else do we say about teams? But we are going to try to move all y'all over there, but I won't force y'all to stop using Slack. If you feel that Slack is a little bit easier for you to communicate with until we are completely moved over to Teams, I say keep using it. I say keep contacting the people you're contacting through it. And I will give y'all probably weekly updates on how we are with Teams, just because of how many issues we're having with it at the moment. That is all, I hope. I'm lying. One more. I got asked about ASCSU gear not too long ago. I talked to marketing. They said that they did order stuff. So if you filled out your onboarding form, we should be getting some ASCSU gear in by the end of this week. And it should be available for people to start like taking and like distributing by next Wednesday. That's what I was told. So if you have any questions, please direct it to your Director of Marketing, Zael, I'm gonna butcher his last name, Acosta, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, thank you. Next, we move on to committee abstracts. Would any committees like to give an abstract at this time? Chair Shaw.
Good evening, y'all. I apologize for my late attendance. I was seeing the event. Just want to put up some events. Just kidding, that's later. Accessibility Caucus did not meet last week. We were gonna go out and review door buttons in the health center, but due to it being really cold, due to it being still really ice on the ground, we determined it wasn't safe for members to be out. We will be going out this next Monday. Hopefully it doesn't ice up again. So there's an update on that. I am actively adding stuff onto the report. Me and Chair Amaretta Lowe, who is helping me write the report at this point. So if there's anything you want me to add on that and whatnot, please let me know. The caucus will be reviewing it. I'm thinking sometime after fall break, just kind of going over any last minute details that we need to add. So that's just kind of putting things in perspective in terms of where we currently sit with our agenda. That's all the reports I have for caucus as of right now. So thank you.
Are there any committees who'd like to do an abstract at this time? Chair Christie.
Okay, I'm gonna say this before I lose my voice. I was sick, had to cancel Women's Caucus, but it'll be next week, so please come. Thank you.
Is there any other committees? Seeing none, we'll move into Senator and Associate Senator reports. I saw Chair Manati first, and then I will go through.
Hello, y'all. Just going to notify y'all of some upcoming back events. Skate night is happening on the 9th from 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. Transport will be provided for first year students. Go out, have fun, skate your heart out. I want to see y'all skating to have up. And then on the same day, there's going to be MLK Spoken Word, November 9th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. in the back office. You can sign up to win a cash prize, and well, there will be food provided. So yeah, go up.
Thank you. Next to Chair Trout.
Super slay. Just want to highlight some events with off-campus life. Next Tuesday, November 7th from 6 to 7, we will have another roommate meet and match in conjunction with the Pride Resource Center. Please come. We only had 3 people show up tonight, and it was kind of sad. So if you're looking for me to do that, we're also having 2 general sessions Thursday, November 9th, which is also next week from 5 to 6 p.m. And then Tuesday, November 14th from 5 to 6. So if you're looking for roommates at all, please let me know. Additionally, for groups that are doing fall cleanup this Saturday, I'm very excited to see y'all there. This is more for folks who are like team leads in organizations that you have signed up on. Please make sure that your team leads have reached out to volunteers or reaching out to neighbors. We did have a couple of folks call in and say that they weren't reached out by folks. I don't know who all of those were, but please make sure that if you signed up for it, make sure that your group has contacted your neighbors and is doing that. That's all the updates I have for this week. I yield back.
Thank you. Next we have Senator Wilson.
Hi, guys. So the letter to the editor was a lot, if anyone read it. One thing that stood out to me is that they want us to represent the student body and to advocate. I've spoken to multiple people in this space about accessibility. Every event, every meeting, and every conversation I've had within this space has personally affected me. To clarify on the accessibility guidelines, only the Supreme Court, according to our Constitution, can even vote on whether something is an emergency matter. Everything else has to go through the Student Disability Center. If you have an issue with the accessibility guidelines, I invite you to speak to the SDC. Every single presentation or meeting that I am a part of from now on that do not follow these guidelines, I will move to remove from the agenda or cease the meeting. I've spoken to numerous people about the importance of accessibility. I've had other people come and speak on behalf of me, and yet nothing has changed. This is absolutely disgusting, and I refuse to associate myself with this anymore of this blatant disregard to accessibility. Thank you. I yield my time.
Next one, Senator Burke. Hello. I hope you guys have had a good evening so far. A student came to me with some events that are currently happening in the Warner College for Natural Resources. So I thought I would share those with you guys because they asked that I disseminate the information to these spaces that I am associated with. You guys being one of those, you people being one of those spaces. There are 3 events. They're all DEI office trainings. I will send out after I speak a message to both the Slack and the new teams containing all the information about said events, both the images I have as well as a written description of the images themselves and what is happening in said events. But yeah, there are 3 events. One is a bystander intervention training, which focuses on intervention strategies and how to instill change during situations. That will be on Monday, December 1st, from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. There is also I should have put these in order of when they're happening, because that would make a lot more sense. This is the one that's happening next Monday, which is the one that I thought I was reading. Next Monday, there is a diversity and identities training. That is a panel of STPS representatives that'll talk basically about identity, intersectionality, and inclusion in spaces. That will be Monday, the 6th, from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. in, oh, I forget what building that is. It's the acronym. Oh, the Michael Scott. It's the Warner building, the big toothpick. Yeah, room 345. So and then there's a computer science as Senator reviews in front of me. Thank you. And then there's also a non-traditional student event. I do not have a description for that one. I can ask for more information, but that will be the 27th of November from 11:30 to 2 p.m. In that same room, MSNR 345. So if any of that sounds interesting, I will send out more information again in both the Slack and the Teams for better, understanding of the events and remembering them. Yeah, I yield the rest of my time. Oh, actually, unyield. I don't know if that's a thing I can do. Sorry. I am also in the TEDx thing. I'm not a speaker. I'm an entertainer. I am going to be doing poetry surrounding a very interesting event in my life. So if you guys can come, really appreciate it. Okay, now I need to spend time. Thank you. Next we have Associate Rivera.
Looks like I just struggled with this, but hi everyone. I hope everyone's having a good night. I just wanted to welcome everyone again to El Centro. Today we had a very a good event today. We did decorating sugar schools and had a lot of fun. So I invite everyone to attend tomorrow for Dia de Muertos celebration. It's from 3 to 5 in El Centro. So I hope everyone can make it. And then one more thing, Central South American Caribbean meetup is intended for students who identify as Central South American and Caribbean to be in community while explore the features of this building. It will take place on Tuesday, November 7th from 4 to 5 p.m. Everyone's welcome. So thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Chair Oswald. So the Pride Resource Center has a couple of upcoming events. The Wednesday one, no wait, that was this week in the morning. This Thursday, there's the Queer Connections, which is an Indigenous queer experiences and the voice feminization workshop. The Queer Connections is from 4 to 5, and the voice feminization workshop is from 6 to 7. Next week, APAC's Try to Understand team and Pride to Queer Connections are collaborating to do a presentation on understanding queer SWANA. SWANA stands for Southwest Asian and North African. This is a community that I am part of for both sides of it, both queer and within SWANA. And it is often a community within the SWANA region that is vastly misunderstood, but it is even more misunderstood within the queer community in the Western world. They do not register that, so please come to that if you would like to. Try to Understand are from 5 to 6 within APAC. Like this will help further understanding, and it is a diverse event. So please come, learn, just be in community. Thank you, IU. Thank you. Next we have Associate Morgan.
Hi y'all. Well, got ratified tonight, but I'm Associate Senator for NAC. I'm Treasurer Morgan. I know some of y'all in here, but I just want to say that it's the first day of Native American Heritage Month. So you can check out the NAC website or the Instagram for like the various speakers and events happening this month. And yeah, I just want to remind y'all that we do attend a land grant institution, so just be aware of the land you occupy and the original inhabitants of this land. That's it. Thank you, Ayo.
Thank you. Next we have Associate Camber.
Okay, now can you hear me? Yes, okay. So I talked a little bit last week about Veterans Week coming up. It is a little too late to RCP to do the Military Appreciation Ball, otherwise known as Adult Prom. However, we have some other awesome events coming up. One thing, just to kind of piggyback off what was just said, we are partnering with the Native American Cultural Center to have Dr. Jameson Lopez describe talk about his research and his personal lens as a Native American veteran. We have that is Wednesday, November 8th from noon to 1:30. I'll post the link. And then also we have National Roll Call Friday, November 10th, and this will go on all day long, reading the names of service members and civilians who have made the ultimate sacrifice over the last couple decades of the global war on terror, which just doesn't even put a name enough to what kind of military conflict we've been involved in. So every year on a Veterans Day, National Roll Call is an opportunity for people on campus to participate and show their commitment and support for fallen heroes. It's a great opportunity to volunteer to kind of give back and have to pay some homage. Volunteer sign up, it's about 15 minutes at a time. I'm going to try to figure out what time works best for me, but that'll be going on from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. So as many volunteers as we can possibly get would be amazing. And I'll post a link to all the Veterans Week events. There's a ton of really cool stuff going on. And then I also just wanted to mention that I'm crafting a letter to the editor as well as sort of a response, but trying to come from a positive place about the changes in system culture that we've made and the progress, and maybe invite that person to go ahead and participate and try to lean on what our strengths and not be antagonistic, which is hard for me because I take a lot of that personally when I go and mention ASCSU and the work we're doing in every class I attend, and I'll talk about it when I'm spending time in the ALVS office. So keep an eye out for that. And if you have any thoughts or inputs on things that you would like to see mentioned or included, please feel free to reach out. I yield.
Thank you. Is there any other senators or associates who wish to speak at this time? Seeing none, we're going to move into conference business. Can the parliamentarian please put 2 hours on the conference clock? And with that, we'll move to the ratification of additional SFRB members. For those who weren't here, those who may not remember, last week we postponed, that's the word. We postponed Senator Wilson's ratification due to time conflicts with SFRB. And so I'll ask Senator Wilson, is there any rectifier change to that confliction? To try.
Good evening, y'all. Me and Vice President Silverheart discussed
earlier this week, best ways to approach the potential conflict of time. And we were able to figure out an accommodation that works for the both of us in a way where Senator Wilson can still attend caucus and ensure that they are up to speed on SFRB materials. I won't go too heavily on what the accommodation is specifically, but it's something that we both agreed on. It's something that I did last year. It was my accommodation last year. So folks remember what my accommodation was last year, super slay. But so we have figured that out. And so the concern issued last week has been essentially rescinded because we got it figured out. So yeah.
Is there any questions? We'll move into a timer question and answer at the moment. We'll go with 5 minutes.
Information. Do you want Senator Wilson here during Q&A, or do you want them to?
Or wouldn't it be questions?
Understood. Never mind. That's fine.
Yeah. We'll start with the first placard and I'll go down. I have Senator Davis.
I don't have a placard today. This is just like a quick question, I guess. Would whatever accommodation it is, allow Wilson to get the full amount of information that is being covered at an in-person SFRB meeting?
Essentially, yes. I can go into a little bit more specifics. Super slight. Essentially, they would be getting all of the meeting notes and the presentations that SFRB offices or the student fee offices are giving right now. So I know, for example, last Monday, Off-Campus Live presented in front of SFRB since they're a student fee office. All the information, including its presentation and any additional information that Vice President Silverheart, or who, I don't know who the Vice Chair of SFRB is, but whoever they deem is appropriate for, let's say if Alex or Senator Wilson was the OCL liaison, they would ensure that information gets sent, and just as in general, just making sure that information is sent in that way. And then for my accommodation last year, I'm not entirely sure how it'll be enforced this year, but I had to inform. So last year when Vice President Sandoval was chair of SFRB, I had to go and inform her that I had caught up with the materials and I know what we're talking about. And if I didn't prove that to Vice President Silverheart, I had to abstain from the spring votes because I didn't have the presentations. So they should be able to be on top of anything and everything. And if I know if they have any additional questions that they bring up, they can always ask SFRB liaisons and whatnot. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, and you're doing that second part as well, the like telling them. Cool, I do.
Is there any other questions? Senator Herzinga.
So will you be actually attending any of the sessions that the review board does? Like switching on? off?
Yes, I would. Whoa, that's echoey. I'm so sorry. I don't know why that's echoing. But yes, I will be attending all sessions. It only runs into like not even fully the first half. So I would still be attending like 75% of the meeting. And with that as well, I also could not attend this week because I had a study abroad meeting, and I was able to completely. Wow, that was really annoying. I was able to completely understand all the material that was given to me.
Thank you. Is there any other questions at this time? Seeing none, I ask Senator Wilson to step out of the room, please. We'll start discussion and debate with a 10-minute. Will be a 10-minute period of discussion and debate with the first placard. That's Senator Visser.
All right, as we all remember last week, we all pretty much said Senator Wilson's a good candidate. We just need to resolve this, scheduling issue. We have that scheduling issue resolved. Please, I have stuff to do. Very important stuff like watching the second part of the Caribbean movie with my friends when I get back. Please, let's just make this fast. Thank you. I yield.
Next we have Chair Frisky.
Hi, I just was gonna say my full support. Senator Wilson is always very strongly advocating for accessibility, and someone needs to do it because it's super important. And so, I have my full trust that, they will make sure that this space is accessible. And yeah, and hopefully other people will also follow, to make it accessible. So I yield my time.
Thank you. Next we have Senator Heisinger.
I yield.
Thank you. Chair Trout. Associate Senator Camberg, did you want to add to discussion with me?
All I would like to point out is that I think every single one of us in this room at some point or another has utilized technology available to us. Maybe we missed the first part or an entire class and have gone back and used resources like Echo 360, et cetera, to be able to reach our full potential and to be competent in our work. And I would encourage anyone who has ever used those resources to not be a hypocrite and not gatekeep an opportunity just because we feel a certain way about accommodations. Okay, that's all. I yield.
Chair Trout.
Well, hello. Senator Wilson has my full support. I have talked to them very extensively about their role within the caucus. I've also talked to them as a previous member of SFRB, but I've really enjoyed my frustrations with that board last year. And they are really excited to take on this responsibility and advocate for our students and ensuring that student fee programs are accessible, that the STC gets its funding, all of the really good bits and pieces. I'm really excited to see Senator Wilson thrive within this position. I think they're going to do an incredible job. Speakers, or anyone else on the speakers list? Then I would like to motion to previous question.
Is there any dissent to that motion? Seeing none. Seeing none, we're going to move on to a voting period. According to our bylaws, we can do this by secret ballot. So.
Madam Speaker, I motion that we, oh my God, approve this candidate with unanimous consent.
Is there any dissent to that motion?
I dissent.
We're going to continue doing secret ballot. Unless any other voting would like to use. Senator Perk.
Madam Speaker, can I make a motion to approve this candidate by raised placard vote?
All in favor of doing placard vote for this candidate, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
I'm gonna have y'all raise your placard for this placard vote. Alrighty, all those in favor of using placard for this vote, please raise your placard. Alrighty, y'all can put your placards down. All those who would not like to use placard as a vote, please raise your placards. Y'all can put your placards down. All abstentions. Y'all can put your placards down. If it is by 2/3, this vote does not pass. We will continue to do it by secret ballot. Our Speaker Pro Tem 4 will go and grab the secret ballot votes. They will be handed out. Let me kind of explain how secret ballot needs to be done so we don't have any problems.
It's majority vote.
It is.
Yes.
Section P in motions. P. That's to suspend the rules. P is to change a vote. Oh, you're showing yours. I was gonna show you mine. You should judge me and contest my opinion.
Is it just by majority?
It is just by majority. Sorry,
Big
Claudia.
So, if it's just by majority, with a vote of 12 to 9 to 3, it does pass. Placards. Big purr. Alrighty. If with this, I ask that we all be respectful of each other's votes and that we be respectful in how others vote. This is their personal, and this is maybe their constituents' opinions and their own as well. I've been told that some people go outside and watch the Senate from the live. I'm gonna ask y'all to not do that, and I'm gonna ask if Senator Wilson is watching us on the live to please remove yourself from the live to protect that the votes are confidential and that these people do not feel antagonized to vote in a different way. With that, we're gonna start with a placard vote. All those in favor of ratifying Senator Wilson, please raise your placards. Y'all can put your placards down. All those who do not wish to ratify Senator Wilson, please raise your placards now. You can put your placards down.
Just a point of information, you can't see from a digital perspective hands in the room, just so you know.
Yes, I'm constantly asking Parker if there's any votes on Zoom.
No, she's saying that it wasn't watching.
Oh, slay. I'm gonna start this vote over only because I have to make sure that we have associates who can vote in place of a senator voting and any associates who can't vote in place of a senator voting. So we're gonna start again with all who wish to ratify. You can put your placards down. All those who do not wish to ratify, please raise your placards. You can put your placards down. All abstentions. You can put your placards down. It's just a simple majority placards.
Information, I believe since this is a vote to ratify a candidate, it is a simple majority.
Someone from the judicial branch here to offer an opinion. Can you come down?
The applications don't include any abstentions.
Yeah. Right here it says it's 2/3, but it's for specifically. I don't know if it counts. Okay. So section K says for elections and ratifications may vote no confidence if they do not have it. Does that mean that the vote for no confidence is the 2/3, or is that the vote to approve them is 2/3?
I'm pretty sure that's a vote of confidence.
Okay.
We should have the real vote of confidence.
Madam Speaker, can I move we have a 5-minute recess?
Unless it's already been answered.
No, I have one more question. A motion has been made for a 5-minute recess. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? Ayes have it. Take a 5-minute recess. We'll meet back up around 8:03.
I mean, we typically consider them confidence votes when we go and say this is a point of confidence and like, do we feel confident they do the job? Repeat that.
Yeah, I'll repeat it for Zoom, so we have a documentation. Due to our bylaws, ratifications need to be by 2/3 vote majority. And the vote of 8 to 6 to 9, this candidate is not ratified. I'll go grab. You want me to? Fortunately, you are not ratified today. Apologies. And with that, we move on to old business, changing of women's caucus. To bring it up, was there any edits from the committee chairs? Internal, did you make any edits to this document?
We did not.
And Chairman Monty, any edits to this bill by your committee?
Just a lot of endorsements.
Thank you. Does the author accept these changes?
I accept these changes. We also, just really quick, we did change the font in DEI affairs.
Yes.
Just wanted that to be known for the record.
Gotcha. Any questions? Discussion. Right. Since it's the final reading, we're just going to move on to discussion and debate of this bill.
Really quick, I'm so sorry. I know there was a question last time that I know some members have had answers to, but can I address that really quickly? One of the questions 2 weeks ago, whenever this bill was presented last, of why is it a bill? Because, theoretically caucus could do that. We discussed this in the different committees, and I'll explain this for folks now just to make sure everyone's on the same page. Because the original jurisdiction of the Social Justice Library fell under multiple different job descriptions, the Director of Diversity and Inclusion, folks within the Office of Campus Engagement, the D&I caucus, and I think there was one more entity. It was changing the job descriptions of those folks essentially and putting it under here. Recognizing that some of the job descriptions, like our actual job descriptions, didn't have those notes listed, but for the record and for transparency's sake, this was changed since the bill that found the Social Justice Library is linked in here, and want to acknowledge that change. That answered anyone's questions from last week, because I did not answer that last time. So
with that, we'll start with the first raised placard. I saw Senator Pickerel.
This is more of a general question. In the endorsements, it looks like there are like some little capitalization things, maybe some spelling. I don't know what to say about that necessarily.
Chair Trout is allowed to make edits on the board.
yes. So yeah, if we could just correct name changes and proper the things, whatever is needed for those changes to happen. Thumbs up for me.
And that is with any bill. If there's any last minute changes during the final readings, authors have the power and authority to change certain parts of their bill on the floor. Just for future reference. Anyone else?
I get that.
All good. Senator Helsinger.
Okay, I want to be clear that this is on behalf of my constituents of the College of Business. Many of the people that I've talked to find it honestly offensive that it's stated that the Women's Caucus has no purpose. I feel like there hasn't been enough time for the Women's Caucus to do anything. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there that many of the students that I've actually talked to from the College of Business find it just a little inappropriate, I guess. Thank you.
I think this was that like more be added onto this previously. Great. Chair Christie.
Okay, hi, first of all, I just want to say, my name is spelled wrong. But it's cool. I'm in excited. I'm in full support of this bill. I just want to address really quick some of the questions your constituents have. First of all, when the Women's Caucus was created a few years ago, basically it was functioning somewhat what the diversity committee is doing right now. So the purpose for the Women's Caucus went away, basically. So we don't have a direction. I don't have a direction to go in. So this doesn't limit my directions at all. This is just adding something on to help because we still have other initiatives in mind. And you can go back and tell your constituents that. They can also come to me if they have any concerns about it. I'd love to see them there because it's for anyone in CSU. And so if they have any concerns specifically for CSU or specifically for the Women's Caucus, definitely come and show up. It's an open, safe space. Also, I think it helps open it up more for more opportunities to get stuff done. So personally, I am for the bill. So thank you. I yield my time. I'm sorry. I don't want to I'm not trying to call you out or anything like that. I just wanted to help respond there. So. Can I say something? I guess I am thinking about motioning to table this because Women's Caucus has been canceled because you've been sick. So we haven't had the opportunity to come and talk to anybody. That is not your fault at all. Obviously, you're sick. But I just feel like this is moving a little fast without actually talking to the actual students.
I do have a point of information. Are we, I think this happened a few years ago, but are we able to motion to move it back to committee? If the Senate decides we can't really want to?
We definitely can move it back to committee.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll move to the next one speakers list. I have Senator Davis.
This was again just kind of answering your question, so it might be fairly redundant, but basically, if we did change it and if we did agree to this right now, it wouldn't really put anything into immediate effect, nor would it take away any ideas that we have because the first and foremost thing of the Women's Caucus would be to if someone comes to the caucus with an idea, that's what we're gonna go for first, just because that's an in motion thing. But this is more of just in the event that we find ourselves with nothing to do, everyone's gotten their things put through and everything's kind of been settled, that we don't have to sit there and wait for this to pass again because we waited the first time to change it. So it would just make it so that it's there and that could be needed.
With Associate Morgan.
Well, as a previous Women's Caucus chair, I can definitely agree that it's definitely it's very limited in what you can do, and this also wasn't when D&I caucus was a thing. So I think there's really no harm in this. I mean, it's just expanding what the caucus can do, and really caucus is just for people to come who have similar ideas and want to be activists or promote change. So I really don't see why we're discussing this. I think there's only room for growth, and if we want to have meaningful projects, extending the name to have social justice doesn't hurt. I yield.
So first, okay, I have a question. Why does it need to be a rebranding? Why can't it be a project? Also, I think that both of them, social justice and Women's Caucus, are both two very important things. And I guess I am a little confused as to why we're I feel we're limiting in combining them instead of having two separate groups. And that might be my lack of knowledge of the actual participation. I'm not denying that at all. I might just not know how much participation we actually receive. But I
Oh, I have a point of order. I believe that, procedurally, this dialogue breaks decorum. Are we supposed to have each one of us gets 5 minutes and then put on the secondary speakers list if we want to speak again?
Yes, so there was no one left on the primary speakers list. I've gone through the entire list, so that's why I moved over and gave Senator Cousin the position to talk. When I first gave her another, that was on me. That was like my mistaken procedure. That's why when I saw that she raised her flag again, I told her to wait, and then, because there was one more person on the primary speakers list, and then as I ran out, I went back. So,
Thank you.
of course, for you, Jen.
Yeah, and I apologize for my lack of knowledge of procedures.
Your friend is not on the assignment.
I think I was done. I did.
Thank you. Next, we have Senator Wilson.
I just wanted to bring some sort of clarification to this bill. It's not changing women's caucus to social justice. Like social justice is still like a big part of DEI, accessibility, and women's caucus, and that will always be a thing. It's ensuring that the women's caucus now has access to the social justice library. And the library has not been touched in what is it, like a year, 2 years, 3 years, something like that, something crazy. You go to the social justice library, it's that little bookshelf in the office, full of dust. The last book was published, I believe, in 2010. And this ensures that women's needs and their abilities to women's needs and their priorities are put to the top of the list because historically within this space, women have not been put at the top of the list and prioritized. And this bill gives them the opportunity to have priority within the space and the ability to like put in women empowerment books and things of that nature. But yeah, thank you. I get my time.
Thank you. Last, we have Chair Trout.
First, I want to thank you for bringing these concerns up. I really appreciate that. It helps me put in more insight into my bill crafting and whatnot. It was definitely not my intention to say that women's caucus is useless. Absolutely not my intention. I apologize if that was portrayed within the bill. Essentially, other folks have expanded on that more than I wanted to, or more than I was going to. But I think the big thing, like for me, is more of the historical context with seeing the caucus in years past. I know previous chairs are here tonight. I know a co-author, Senator Schumer, was a chair last year. I know they've expressed all like not concerns of like how, like what do I do with this caucus essentially. And I know this is something that I've talked to a lot with law folks who want to do other things with making a new caucus or other things with caucuses. The big thing that I've learned in my years of being here is that if a caucus doesn't have like a physical thing to do, it's just a whole bunch of people sitting in a room going, okay, hi, okay, bye. So it was more to give it a physical thing to work on top of additional projects that they are able to take up on. And I know that they're excited to take on additional projects. So that was more of the intention with that. So I will yield to you if you have any other things you'd like to ask or anything else to talk about, just to make sure that if there's any other clarifications that I can provide or any other members here can provide. You don't have to accept that if you don't want to, if you're just like, no, I'm good. But the floor is yours as if you want it. Since I've yielded to. Technically, no, I could, okay. I swear.
Technically wise real quick, even it's like the knowledge of our past bylaws, the writer of our new bylaws, and they're all. Okay,
I'm sorry, I just like right below. It's like another part that like limits it, but
I think I can only use like one.
Mixed up with the whole reserve your yields or speaking time. So you're good.
okay, we got it figured out and I can't do this legally. So if you have anything else, you're more than welcome to. If not, that's okay as well. Yes.
I want to clarify that I'm fully in support of the library. I think that's like amazing. I guess I'm just like wondering why the rebranding, why is that necessary? And I, yeah.
So kind of spoken on in twofold. One, to encapsulate its new toy, essentially, of the social justice library, and also to expand it. I know there's a lot of folks in years past, like, you know, I'm a non-gender conforming individual, and I don't know if this is a space that's welcoming for me, or, you know, I'm a male identifying individual, and I want to be more involved in the things, but I don't know if that's my place to be in it. It kind of broadens that out to be a little bit more, I'm not trying to say like it wasn't gender inclusive beforehand, but to promote that a little bit more in a way that's clear and lacks the confusion that there was in years past. I hope that answers your question on that. But that's all. Okay, I yield back.
Senator Davis.
I don't know if maybe I just like misunderstood, but if the question is why aren't we having two different caucuses and committees? It's neither project is big enough to fulfill a full caucus, which is why they're being combined.
We've probably gone over the 5 or 10 minutes that are allocated for discussion and debate, so I'm gonna move us to.
Point of information, Senator Camberg has had her hand raised on the Zoom for the past 10 minutes.
I'm gonna set Associate Camberg, I had it right here. Associate Camberg, you're last on our speakers list.
I understand, like, we're scrutinizing this. There's a reason why we are going through legislation. Honestly, I think it's the Women's Caucus. It's their business if they want to take on more or less work or evolve or change. That's the members of that caucus's business. And yes, we should all have a say in that. But I think that we might be overthinking criticizing and going over every detail in this document when really we're just trying to do some formal housekeeping here. So that's all I have to say. I'm in support of this bill. I yield.
I was informed you had a minute. So. Chairperson, you'll probably be our last.
I have more of a point of inquiry. So if we were to table this vote, would we just like table it till next time? And would it start over again like the discussion? How does that work?
If it was tabled, that means we would put it off until later in the day, which means it would not actually be discussed again. It would just be ended. If we postpone it, we can set aside a time in which we would postpone it for to whatever time or whatever action we would prefer for that. It's really up to the body if you want to postpone until when you want to postpone it. And then we would just bring it back at that time.
Okay, thank you. I would personally, because if people want to come to the Women's Caucus next week to talk about this, I would be open to postponing it till next session, till next week's agenda. If that's in order, if there's a need for that. I don't.
Point of information, we can also send it back to committee and caucuses, so we could send it to just Women's Caucus.
Caucuses don't receive legislation.
Yeah.
So in a sense, we couldn't send it to Women's Caucus. So the best, you could send it back to committee. That is definitely an option. If you would like people to talk about it in your caucus next week, it would be best to postpone this bill. And who are the authors, remind me? Is it
Me and Eddie. Who Eddie's?
So Tim, you have that already.
Yeah.
I'm definitely open to that. It just also depends on how, again, the Senate feels. If you think that'd be beneficial, if you're just like, whatever. I'm open to whatever the Senate decides on that, on whether they decide to postpone it to next week, vote on it today. I guess I also have a point of clarification or point of information. Would committee of the whole answer this question? Probably not.
What I'm seeing. I'll say Ms. Estimate.
Madam
What I'm
Chair.
seeing, yes.
I was just gonna say, I was gonna make a motion to table this particular piece of legislation until November 8th, Wednesday.
Parker would like you to use postpone.
This piece of legislation until November 8th, Senate session.
Just makes me smile.
You're so real for that.
November 8th Senate session will be the next Senate session occurring.
I'll seek unanimous consent.
All right. Is there any dissent to that motion? Seeing none, we'll see this piece of legislation next week.
Thanks,
I
y'all.
invite anyone who has any further questions or has any further discussion that they have to go to Women's Caucus, get that dialogue, because that's what caucuses and committees are for, is to talk about stuff like this. And with that, Chair Christie, can you remind us of your time, date, and where your caucus happens?
Oh, yes. Okay. So the caucus takes place on Mondays from 5:30 to 6:30 in the conference room right there. And I usually bring coloring books, and we also do it over Zoom. So if you can't make it in person, we watch the Zoom carefully. So yeah, please show up.
Thank you. And with that, we're gonna move on to ending roll call. I saw this one. Senator LaSerre.
First again. I would like to make a motion to use the beginning roll call for the ending roll call and to put anyone who came in late on the list.
Seconded. Is there any dissent? Using ending roll, beginning roll call is ending roll call. Committee reports. Internal.
So we, as a committee, do have bylaws, and so we will be taking a look at the internal affairs bylaws this coming Tuesday. So come to committee if you want to take a look at that and maybe edit anything with that. I'll be sending those out tonight. And that's all I have. Come to committee. I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Budgetary. Any of y'all are writing legislation that is looking for fund allocation? Please email me. I can meet with you. I can let you know what's up. I can set up meetings for you with like the big overseers of our budget, like further up than even our lovely speaker. But please. Let me know things. Otherwise, when you present something, I'm just gonna be staring at it like, and that's not a good look for anyone to have when something's up on the board and Senate. And again, I would like to reiterate what I said last week. Please look out for help and pay attention to your mental health during what's happening right now. It is not easy. It is not fair to see what is happening in the world and to know that we are here and safe, and that's straining our mental health, knowing that we're here and safe, but others in the world are not, especially when our social media is being filled with this. Please stay informed on what's happening, but please prioritize yourself first. If you are burnt out and if you have nothing left to give, you will not be of any help to anyone, and you will just further harm yourself. Please take advantage of the 5 free sessions that we have paid through our student fees at the CSU Health Center. And please pay attention to those around you, because we're a lot more. It's not, you don't know who's getting affected by this until someone says, this is affecting me, or until someone says, my family's affected. But there are warning signs about the people that we're being affected by, and please watch what you're speaking about when you're around those people, because it's really hard and really dangerous for a lot of people on our campus right now. And we have been seeing an uptick in hate crimes, Islamophobia, xenophobia, anti-Semitism, and many other things. So please be aware and be courteous. And Rams take care of Rams. And thank you, I yield. Thank you. University Affairs Chair is gone, so we'll move to online. Graham's online. Chair Kelly, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, not really.
We'll move on to DEI Affairs. I'm so sorry, Graham.
So, nothing's coming through my committee, but still come to committee. And yeah, to echo what Budgetary Chair Oswald said, take care of yourself. It's really important that you do watch your mental health, watch your physical health, watch your emotional health. Fall is the season of a lot of stuff. So keep an eye on all of that. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. And yeah, thank you for the rest of the time.
Thank you. Next we'll move on to caucuses. Women's caucus.
I've already said everything, so I moved my time.
Okay, last we have accessibility caucus.
I'll just reiterate, we will be meeting at the CSU Health Center next week. If you are willing and able, please come. If you need transportation there, please let me know and I can provide transportation for folks. And then if you want to ask any questions about the caucus report that we'll be issuing, please let me know and that's fine as well. Thank you, I yield.
With that, we're done. I'll see y'all next week.